Uh, how can one, this I don't know about, Joseph, but how can one laugh at abortion?
How can one laugh at abortion? He says he's looking at abortion. You're taking the view that it's bad.
Well, how can one laugh?
Well, how can one laugh at abortion?
No, I'm not saying you have to. I said you are not to laugh, means you laugh at silly, stupid things, I mean, you see. But at abortion, as I can't understand, you see. This is a very funny situation in this country, as it is the birth rate is minus and you are having abortions.
Does it exist in India, abortion?
Not much. People don't like it at all. They hate it. And you know, the trouble is like this. You people are having no children, so we have to have the load on us. You see what to do? Nobody to be born here. They don't want to be born here because there's no love in the heart. See, when other day somebody told me about the doctors here, that some of them are butchers, I couldn't believe it. Because in India, at least, doctors are not butchers by any chance. I was surprised. This is because everything has become a butchery here, because the heart is covered with ego. There's no heart left. We have to raise the heart. That's important. Once you raise the heart, you see, you cannot stand all this nonsense. Why do you want to have abortions? I still can't understand.
Madness.
It actually affects the Swadhisthana chakra.
Oh, it affects many chakras. I mean, there was someone I knew who always used to catch on right heart. I must tell you this. Very nice person, always on right heart. His father was a good man. Everything was fine. Asked him, how are you catching on right heart? He was not married. And when he came very close to me, then he confessed to me that I lived with a woman and she was going to have a baby and she went in for an abortion and I conceived. And since then I've been feeling very sad about the whole thing. But the whole view about life has to be changed. Then only you can avoid these things. You see, it is a symptom of a disease. It's not the disease itself. Abortion is not the disease, it's the symptom of a disease. Now what is the disease within us is that we have allowed our sex to be let loose completely. Talking too much about sex from childhood, what is the need to give education in sex? I have failed to understand. Openly, there is no need to teach about. You see, do the animals need any sex education? Still they produce. Then they told me they tell about sex only because they think by telling about sex, they can protect people from not going into sex. I said, no, they create too much of curiosity in children. For example, in India, we never talk about sex to children. They do not know, they are so innocent. Even till the marriage takes place, some of the girls do not know what sex actually is, how it works out and all. But they are told this is something filthy to do and all that, and when the girl gets into puberty, it is told, and to the boys also. You see, some or other, it is a very different society. That question doesn't come in, it never comes into the head of the boys and girls. If you keep them pure, I mean, like it doesn't come in the head of the sister and a brother, even today, thank God. In many sisters and brothers, I should say, despite Freud's all efforts to spoil your minds. But still there are brothers and sisters relations today. In the same way, it doesn't come into their heads at all. And when they get married, they are to be told that this is what it is. And that's why they say these Konarak and all these places were built where they could take young brides and young people to see that. This was called as Kumarika temples, means the married women, when they were not virgins, could go there and see those places to understand what sex is. And you get so exhausted with this early sex life. I mean, you go into all kinds of tantrums then. Because you are so exhausted, then you go into perversions. The basics are wrong. We are trying too hard to be sexologists. There's no need to be sex points, you are that already. But you don't want to be only sex points, do you? I don't know what makes you feel that is the end of every every endeavor, everything should end up there. Maybe that advertisement and all this is coming to you too much because they think that by exploiting these things they will help you. But it's such a perverted thing. And
On the other hand, would you swap your generative capacities for a radio? Would you swap your generative capacities for a radio?
What's it?
Would you swap your generative capacity, your capacity to reproduce and have sex, for a radio?
For a radio? Means what?
Oh, he's asking you whether it's a valuable thing to have, to be able to have sex. Is it valuable and has it a purpose?
It has a purpose to a point.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is another point.
He's supporting.
He's talking about in India, where they give a transistor radio for sterilization. You know that where.
That's what they try. This is also, you see, Western ideas coming to India. Oh, they did all sorts just to sterilize them. Oh, that's how the lady lost her election. Her last election, she is now pulled her ears for that. See, they are all westernized people, you see. They try all these tricks. People don't like it, you see. There's a bridegroom who went for his wedding, and poor thing saw that there was a team of people standing there for sterilization. He jumped out of the bus and he disappeared forever. Nobody knows where he has disappeared. And they even sterilized people who were very old and who were not even married. You see, it was so funny. So indiscriminate. I think they were possessed by some boots. I don't know what to call them. You see, population is a problem in India. But what to do now? You should solve the problem. And there is something working out in a very funny way, I must tell you. I went to Colombia. I found lots of these Norwegians carrying Colombian children with them. And they look so different, Norwegian children, Norwegian people and these Colombian children. I asked them, why do you carry these children? Where are you carrying them? They said, we have adopted them. I said, but why don't you produce your own? That would be better, to produce your own. No, we don't want to go through the process of it. It's better to have ready-made. So the supply has started in all the developing countries to give you ready-made children. Isn't it funny? It's funny things going on. Instant babies.
Excuse me, Mother. If a chakra is blocked and you bring the flow out of that chakra, link it with other chakras, couldn't you be indulging in undoing a karmic pattern in that person that they have to go through?
Very good idea, because I think
Just
you
repeat
people
the question.
I know the question is this, that he's saying that if you try to clean the chakras, you will be undoing the karmic cycle and all that. You see, this is a typical things that are being circulated in the West, you see. That you have your own karmas, you see, and we are the gurus. So you have to go through your karmas. You must suffer for your karmas. You see, like that is there. Now, this theory was all right before Christ came in, not after his coming. And why are they here then? Why are we paying them? For what? You better pickle them out. They are worth nothing because they just take money from you, and we have to go through our karmas. They make you dance, jump, go into all kinds of things, put spirits in us and say you are suffering your karmas. Why should we suffer? Actually, they should suffer for our karmas, minimum of minimum. No, Christ has done that for you. He has taken all his karmas, your karmas upon himself. He has made way for us. That's why you have to pass through him. Once you pass through him, through Agya Chakra, your karmas are sucked in by. That's your ego. It's the only ego that says you have done this wrong and that wrong. You see, an animal doesn't think that way. It thinks it's its own swabhava. It's the way it has to be. But it's only the human beings who think, I have done this wrong, I have done that wrong, I have done this good, that bad, because we have ego. But when your Kundalini passes through your Agya Chakra, your ego is sucked in, your super ego is sucked in. Christ has done double job in one shot, It's great. That's why he was crucified. It was to. He took all your karmas upon himself and put it into hell. So whatever karmas you have done are all sucked in. But the door must open fully. In the beginning, it happens that only a thread comes up, you see. And the ego is not fully sucked in, so sometimes it still comes up and all that. The best weapon to get rid of them is to forgive others. Forgiveness is the greatest weapon Christ has given us, which we have to use. Forgive, forgive, and forgive. That's a very good way. Lord's Prayer is the solution for your Agya Chakra. You'll be amazed. You have to say Lord's Prayer after realization to open your Agya. Then you become thoughtlessly aware. After realization, again I say not before realization. It has no meaning. Before realization, whatever you have said has gone into karmas. Only after realization, you are baptized, you get an opening here, and all your karmas pass through that. Also, you will find when you get realization, lot of heat comes out. These are the karmas, you see, that are coming out. Let the heat go out, and all karmas are finished. It's like that. This is what is self-realization. Like an egg is in an eggshell, is very different. But when it becomes a little chick and the mother breaks the tip of the egg and a new bird comes out without any karmas or the smell of the egg. So clean and nice. Everything converted into something beautiful. It's like that. This is the rebirth. This is how we become a new personality, a new being. So don't forget about your karmas after your realization. Alright? He has said it, that he died for your sins. Didn't he? And the wages of sin is fear. If you still have fear within you of your karmas, you are still sinning. There should be no fear about it. Do not have any guilt. I've been telling you not to have any guilt. What can you do? What sins can you commit? Do not have any fears. This is very common, as I told you the other day, left Vishuddhi. I have to talk about it quite a lot. It's so common in Australia, in America, and in all the Western countries to feel guilty. Everything collapses there, and nobody can rise through the Agya because it collapses down here onto left Vishuddhi where you feel guilty. What are you feeling guilty about? And why did Christ come on this earth? You are just wasting his incarnation by feeling guilty yourself. He has taken all your guilt upon himself. What do you think he was? He was Omkara. He was Pranava. He was the word. He was that power. He is not attached to anything, but he can take away everything that you think is sin, because he is sinless. He is so pure, immaculate. Alright? Does that give you some hopes? Or still you are indulging into your own miseries?
Anyone else?
Talking about eggs earlier, what about diet? Can you give us some guidance?
Diet, alright. This diet theory is also coming from some horrible Brahmins, you see. Don't listen to them. They are the greatest Rakshasas ever born on this earth.
Means devils.
Devils. Rakshasas are monsters, you see. They eat like hell, they eat such a lot, and they always tell you don't do this and don't do that.
Don't eat sugar.
You can eat anything you like, except for don't eat the meat of animals which are bigger than you. I mean, otherwise you'll develop muscles, see, which will have funny contours and things. Eat animals which are smaller than, is the point is. And if you eat those animals, they do not also have much sense of compassion and all that. It's all right. They are just like vegetable sort of things. So it doesn't matter. You don't kill them. They are killed in the machine and all that. You have to eat that, and you need it. You have to eat. But that doesn't mean that if you are vegetarians, you should become non-vegetarian. It doesn't mean that. Whatever you eat, you can eat. It's not, eating is not going to change your spirit. Spirit doesn't eat. It does not. Makes no difference to the spirit, except that to your body, which is a lamp. So, if you have to keep the wick all right, you have to keep the lamp all right, and for that, don't eat anything that is a very big animal compared to yours. And cow's meat, for example, in India, they don't eat, because have you seen Indian cows? They're very gentle. And the cows are in the house, just like mother, they start giving milk to the children. They see every day they are taking the milk of the cow, so they develop a feeling, you see. And that's why they don't drink, you see. But it doesn't mean that if your Australian cows are, I don't think are like that, because what I have seen, they look like buffaloes to me sometimes. Like my granddaughter, she came to England and she asked me, grandmother, why the buffaloes in England are white? Yes, so it's all right, but you will come down on that. It will be different, you see, you will see gradually, but don't worry about it. Gradually everything drops out into very little things, you see, but you allow yourself to develop.
Eggs and things like that he was
Oh, eggs you better have, lots of it. But if you have liver, it's not good to have eggs. Eggs is very heating. Pork is otherwise good, but not good for the people who have liver problems. You see, you must understand, every person is different. Now today I met a lady who was very left-sided. So I had to tell her, you eat pork, eggs, everything. You see, it is how you are. Even the Indian Ayurveda is like that. They want to know the prakriti, the character of a person, how he is. We have evolved from different types of animals. I saw the nocturnal ones. You see, the nocturnal ones must eat a lot of meats. Those who have evolved from nocturnal side. You see, the left-sided, the ones who are afraid and frightened, and who are not egoistical at all, you see, such types. They should take more meats and things, but those who are too much aggressive, better take to vegetables is better. All right, now what's the question?
Does forgiveness stop the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer?
Sergio.
Does forgiveness stop the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer?
It does, absolutely. Absolutely. Sahaj Yoga is the thing that balances the society. Those who are poor become richer, and the rich understand that they must share. Willingly they start sharing their money. But you become really rich in a very miraculous manner. Now, there's a girl here, I would like her to tell you what happened to her. It's miraculous, but she's an Australian and she doesn't tell lies. You can see that very clearly, and she'll tell you what happened to her. Where is she gone? Sharon? Come along. Is she here?
Well, you can tell her, Mum. You can tell
All right. No, let us tell. It's better she's Australian, they'll believe her more.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Huh?
He says,
You
"No,
don't.
we don't. You better
But never trust an Indian. That's even worse.
We'll trust you.
You know, some of the gurus have introduced some Indian bhoots, Indian spirits into English people, and Americans, and also Europeans. And I find they behave just like Indians, you know. They cheat, they embezzle, they'll take away things, not the women. They'll not touch the women, you see. But they'll touch the things, they'll take away empty cans. It's typically Indian, you see. It's rather surprising. Yes, there are some. I've seen them like that. It's surprising to see such things happening to a Western person who behaves just like an Indian. Must be some possession of bhoots put by these gurus. So, if you believe me, then I can tell you what she's told. It's really miraculous, very miraculous. Cheryl was telling me that she wanted to come to India and she had no money. So her daughter was very anxious to come to India, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't have sufficient money. So they just said, "Mother, we want to come to India. Can you arrange it for us?" That's all. And it so happened that this girl had taken a trinket she had in the house, a bracelet, to the school for a sale. I mean, they have their feet all over, so she took that for the feet. And the teacher said, "I think this is gold." She couldn't believe it. She brought it home and they got it valued. And they found that the price of the thing was equal to what they had to spend for both of them travels. But this is nothing. And then she got some money from somewhere in the house, somewhere, I don't know how, she got some money. And she didn't sell even the bracelet, and that's still there. She said, for the next trip, I said, I hope so, you sell it. May not. Like that, you see, things work out. Because your Lakshmi Tattva, your center of well-being gets enlightened. And then you are looked after. So many things happen. Like today they told me so many things of this kind happening to them. And I too, you see, when these people came in, I had told them, all right, you give me so much money, maybe required for your stay. They're very little, it was very little for them to be there in India. You see, after all, India is also now becoming very expensive. And when I went to India, I discovered it has become very expensive. Doesn't matter. I said, I put it in the bank. I said, let it be there. And anybody asked me, now let have it. You want it, have it. Now spend it. Go. And it was all right. I could manage. You see, that's what he did. And so many of them have done it. It's looked after. You go to right places. You get right things. You don't spend too much. You do not repent for spending. And you feel happy for whatever you have. You feel very joyous. Not worried about counting. But if you make a budget, you had it. You don't worry your head about budgeting, how much you are going to spend. You'll be surprised. You won't go to things which are unnecessary, useless, but you'll buy something that is very good. And ultimately, these things will be very precious for you to sell. Many things have happened like that. Many things have happened. Yes?
Can you tell me why Australia is important for the future?
Why is Australia important for the future? Maybe about Sri Ganesh.
Only thing, I don't want to pamper the ego.
I mean, is Australia blessed
Very much.
for the oncoming wars and things?
Very much blessed. It's a very much blessed place. Specially created. Australia was the first continent to be created. And if I dare to answer this question, I hope you'll believe me and not get into ego trips. Australia is a place which is described in the ancient Puranas that a great saint was sent to Australia and another heaven was created. And that saint is called as Trishanku, which is your south, what you call that is the Southern Cross. That shows the Southern Cross, and you can only see Southern Cross from Australia. This is one of the Puranas, or the Vedas also have mentioned this. And even before that, Australia is the place which has the Ganesha. The first is the Muladhara Chakra. The first center is in Australia. How much wise you should be? Did you hear me?
She wanted your opinion about the Australian Aboriginals, the native people here that were born.
Black people.
Oh, they must have been good people to begin with. I'm sure of it. They must have been very good and holy people and nice people. But I think later on they deviated because of too much jungles and things, they started feeling the fear of the nature too much. They must have worshipped things uh, which were good to begin with, and later on to some things like spirits and this. Moreover, the dead bodies, the way they disposed of, must have been something wrong. So maybe they might have gone into a left sided action, into primitive ways of exciting these bhoots and things, spirits and spiritualism and all that. But in Australia must be the minimum. In Africa is horrible. African countries have too much of it. But it should be the minimum of minimum. Because you see, Ganesha's chakra is connected with the left side. You see, is more on the left side, isn't it? So also one can go drift more onto the left side. That's what it is. And even today I feel there's a kind of a lurking inferiority complex that works in Australians. They try to copy the West. There's nothing to copy there. They have nothing sensible. They have to learn from you. You see, this is a little inferiority complex we have, that all the best things are in the West. That's wrong. You are much better off in so many ways. At least you have not lost your moorings. So, I would not pass a general remark about any community as such, but there is a possibility that they can come up very well too. I mean, they can get out of all that left-sidedness. In India also, we have big communities in the south where people have lived with too much ritualism and all that, and have taken to left-sided behavior of attracting, spirits and this and that, and giving those talismans and all that. They've done all that. They are doing, like witchcraft and witch doctors and all that. They must be doing it. But it can be cured. There's no problem. As the West people are overdeveloped and very ego-oriented and right-sided, both are extreme cases, but you can correct. The people who are left-sided, it's easier because they have to move forward. But it's difficult for ego-oriented to move backwards. But if we can do that there, why not here? So nothing is lost, and one should not worry too much about these things. Human beings are just the same. Everybody has Kundalini, finished. As long as you have Kundalini, I have no problem.
To eat? Is there anything wrong with eating chilies?
No, it suits some people very much. Some people should have, those who suffer from colds, will be a good idea. Suffer from constipation is a good idea. But don't eat too much of anything. But it's good for some people. Something is good for some people, something is good for some people. You have to just find out. For people who get constipated, it is better to have little of green chilies all the time. It is very rich in vitamin C. It's very rich in vitamin C. It's good for people who catch colds very easily.
Do you know anything about the teaching called Mahikari?
I know.
There are a lot of people here today.
You see, Mahikari thing was, the person who started Mahikari was a realized soul, though not so well equipped. I met him before his realization. And he got realization, I think, through me only. Whatever it was. I do not want to claim anything like that. But only thing is, he was not equipped, well equipped. Like anybody who gets here realization starts doing something. And his daughter, I think, misled the people, because she's not a realized soul. She became very money oriented. She started putting it. It's happened with every one of them. But poor thing, this one was not, he just got a realization. He was not an incarnation also. You see, even incarnations who came on this earth, like Christ, you see, like Muhammad, like Rama, Krishna, see such great incarnations who were purest of pure. Even those people have been mishandled, and people have raised organizations which are just money-making propositions. Everything somehow man makes into money. I don't know how. It's something that happens to human beings, see. Then they start giving talisman, this, that, cross, this. I mean, it's a money-making proposition throughout. So this is the trouble. What she said?
She said, you're very right.
And you may lose lots of your powers, even ordinary normal powers, with this kind of wrong attitude, you see, or misguidance, because it happens like that. You can make mistakes, you can do so many things, you know. I've seen people, one girl who I had given realization, she went to a lady who was a medium. She used to get ho 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 like that and this thing, and she gave her a talisman, and she became actually blind. Actually blind. Now she is blind. Her eyes are open. I mean, I have to still cure her. But this is the report I've got about her.
Would you say the same of the Hare Krishna organization?
Oh, now you are pulling me into controversy. But I will tell you the other way round. You see, if you go on calling, say the name of anybody, even your name, would you like it? Then how can God like it? On the Oxford Street to stand up. You should see the sight. They even sell those things, you see, like wigs. They sell them like wigs in the market. They shave off, and sometimes they wear wigs. See, it's not show. It is something that has to happen within. It's not the show that you put up. It's something that has to happen. You see, most of them end up with throat cancer and very violent people. They are beggars, absolute parasites.
With Jaguars. With Jaguars.
With expensive cars.
You see, this is very nice. I met somebody in England, and I told him, what do you do here? He said, I deal in opium. I got a fright. I said, opium? How do you deal in opium? Other people's money. I said, that's very good. Other people's money. You see, you can float an enterprise. It's very easy because you are such seekers, such great seekers of ages. And you are so naive. Very good. You go anywhere, they'll take a square, sit there with saffron clothes, with some circus on. Another fellow will be fanning, oh, this one is very great, coming direct from Kashi. Then have nothing to do with horrible people. Kashi is one of the worst places now. So you all go and prostrate. This is what it is. I mean, why are you enamored by these circuses? Aren't you fed up with them? We had a lady from Norway. This one was very interesting. She came to my house, stayed with me, very badly caught up. And she told me the story of a lama who came to Norway. First he told all these Norwegians, you see, if I have to come to Norway, you have to make a place with a floor which has got all marble. Look at him. They are such parasites these lamas are. First they have sucked the blood of these poor Tibetans, and now they were willing to suck the blood of these Norwegians. Now the poor young people, you see, I should say young people in the West are really not rich because their parents do not give them money the way we give our children, you see, so they starved themselves. They ate only potatoes and this and that, and for 1 year they starved themselves to create this floor for these horrible people. And this fellow came, you see, with his shaved head and all that. He stayed there. And this lady told me that she had to go and just bow to him 1,000 times for 3 months. 1,000 times, imagine, just to bow. As it is, will be finished. Even 3 times is sufficient to finish you off. And 3 months she did it. And with me she was arguing morning till evening. I said, look at that. You are arguing with me, eating my head off, and here you are bowing to him. They would not allow anybody to go near the Lama, the great, who was sitting on the 7th step somewhere, hanging in the air. It's very common, you know, the more you are missing from the scene, the more you are difficult to be seen, you see. It's something great. Oh, I have seen the glimpse of that horrible thing. That's what people think. You see, this is what they play upon you, emotional. what do you call them? Emotional
Blackmail.
blackmail. That's what it is. Oh, they will tell you, first of all, we call them chamchas, mean they're spoons. They'll come and tell you, oh, this is very difficult, he may not give you any interview. And you have to at least shell out 500 rupees. You see, it's not easy. It's very difficult. Only you should send your photograph with 500. All this nonsense. If you are the river Ganges, what can malign you? What can dirty you? What can make you impure? If you are here for purification, then nothing can impure you. One, two, three, four. Now the one who has not asked at all should ask. Yes, sir.
Yes.
It seems that over the years we have lost these powers of belief in ourselves. I think at one stage, like in the Egyptian era, that we had these powers. We believed totally in ourselves, and we were whole people. We didn't need to cling or to each other, or we didn't need to rely on each other so much. And I just wondered how we've lost these powers. Is it because the population is so big and because we have to cling together in cities?
The question is